Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Welcome back to the Nia podcast with your temporary host, George, while Shahir, the usual host, is currently away visiting family in Pakistan. The show must go on, and so today I've got the honor to be joined by Brother Rito from FIANZ Community Development. So before, I tout too many of your achievements, would you like to introduce yourself and to the community?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rito Triumbarto. I joined FIANZ 2 years ago as a senior executive at the Community Development Office here in Wellington. And my role is to support the executive committee of FIANZ in their daily, monthly, or annual programs. And I also have the privilege of supporting many local associations and also Islamic Trust and other organizations that operates within the area of community development in Muslim community. So it's nice to be here.
Alhamdulillah. No, it's lovely to be here. You've been one of the guests that we've wanted to talk to for a while through this because, as you're definitely aware, but some of our audience may not be, FIANZ and NIA have a very, long history together and a very strong partnership.
True.
Which touches on a lot of areas, both, networks and a lot of, really professional support that we get from FIANZ as an association, which helps us to run. And part of that partnership, which has really been the strongest, has been our collaboration within that space of community development, because at the end of the day, while we have slightly different focuses, our goal is always to, benefit the Muslim community in New Zealand, particularly the Muslim, communities which we have these connections with. And so I'd love to just get, your overview. What is, this whole work field of, especially social cohesion and community development? What is that, and then what is it that FIANZ is currently doing within that space?
If we take a step back to the early history of Muslim here in New Zealand, we came here as workers. We came here as gold miners in Otago, and in modern days era, we came here. Many of us as refugees, but also most of us are working in the professional areas. Now, the question is, are we a community yet? We have 48 ethnic groups.
I think isn't it more than that?
And 48 languages and 62
I thought it was 80 languages.
Ethnic groups. So
really major diversity, yeah.
Major diversity, and they all belong to a certain kind of ethnicity, tribes, and nationality. So what we are trying to do here is to make us as a community, a group of people who work together for the same aim, for the same goals. Now we already have that goals, which is embedded in our religion in Islam. And how we going to get there? That's our job as community. We want our kids to enjoy the safe and supportive Muslim lifestyle, Islamic lifestyle here in New Zealand. We want our elderly to spend their old age with dignity, with freedom, and of course in the atmosphere of Islamic atmosphere. So to do that, we have to develop ourselves into community. And when we talk about development, it's not one-off project. it should be sustainable, it should be ongoing, and it should have at least long term long term goals. And that's what we are doing here in at FIANZ community development. How we are going to develop ourselves in the midst of New Zealand wider society. We don't want to be special, but we also want to be able to do or to practice our religion freely and safely.
No, absolutely. So would you say it's kind of, I guess the first few years, up until recently, Islam in New Zealand, it's been about that physical development. So, making sure we have access to a masjid, making sure we have access to halal food and all that. But within that, you get sometimes these divisions which come about, like, okay, this is the Pakistani masjid, this is the Arab masjid, and so on and so forth. And so it's about building that idea. I remember there's a concept that, you introduced me to, where you've got the idea of Muslims in New Zealand and Muslims of New Zealand, and really building, an identity for Muslim New Zealanders where we don't see ourselves as necessarily connected only to, like we can, we have our cultures, we have all that, and, that's comes from the Quran, we've created your nations and tribes so that you may know each other, so it's not about rejecting that, but it's about at the same time bridging that generational divide and actually having, an identity to cling on to of I'm a New Zealand Muslim. I'm not, a Muslim from so-and-so country who just so happens to be in New Zealand, but that doesn't matter. But like actually having that connection. So if you could, I guess, elaborate on.
When New Zealand introduced what we call social cohesion, in Islam we call it asabiyah. It's a concept introduced by Ibn Khaldun, one of the greatest Islamic scholars in the world, and the father of sociology, the father of many other knowledge disciplines. And in Asabiyah, we learn that cohesion can happen when we have the same goals, when we have the same functions. So we we reduce the role of ethnicity, we reduce the role of bloodlines, and we focus on functions. How do we function in New Zealand? That's when asabiyah or social cohesion happens. And even though we only 1.3% of the number of population here in New Zealand, but we want to be that 1.3% solution. We want to give, we want to offer Islamic solution to many of social problems or individual problems here in New Zealand, and let people think about it, think about our offer, think about our options, and also in FIANZ, social cohesion has been conceptualized in a book. We call it Social Cohesion Work Plan. This is a 7-year agenda where people or Islamic organization here in New Zealand can choose which area that they want to be strong at. We have elderly care, we have youth, we have education. So in this social cohesion work plan designed by FIANZ, this is the operative framework and implementation program. And you can see it in our website and see if any of the 7 main programs that we offer coincide with your organization's goals and functions.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we can make all of that available, with this, especially through the YouTube description, I guess. But yeah, so as I guess we've established, it's a really big big thing to do. Like it's a really big goal, and so I guess that obviously we can't discuss everything that FIANZ is doing, but are there any, I guess, projects or anything which is coming through at the moment, or which has already happened, which you're quite proud of, and which you think that potentially has quite a good, it shows the kind of direction that we're in.
70% of our program is to support organizations that already existed, and they have done a very wonderful job so far with our community. And it is our job to keep the people who are working tirelessly and with the voluntarism spirit to keep that spirit burning. That's our job, because 70% of what we do is to help them do better in their organization. Just like in NIA, we give any support that required by NIA or other organization or other local associations. And the other 30% is something that we do nationally. FIANZ is a national body of seven, comprises of seven local associations that build the federation. And whatever we do, it should be national, have national impact or have national coverage. And this year we are going to do we will start the oral history project where we trace back our history here in New Zealand, and also, like you said, to strengthen our identity for today's generation and for future generation. And we also have a social entrepreneurship project this year, and many other nationwide projects that we will do. But that's only 30% of all the project or programs that been done by many many organizations such as NIA. We also have regional associations and Islamic trusts all over New Zealand. By the way, we already have more than 90 Islamic trust organizations and associations all over New Zealand. So Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. The idea of the oral histories project is very interesting. So I know a little bit about it, but would you be able to talk any more about that?
We agree that identity is what makes us better today and stronger tomorrow. That's why we have to know who we are. Of course, I come from Indonesia. Many people, many migrants come from other places, other countries. But once they are here in New Zealand, we have to give the color of New Zealand Muslims. What is it that makes us Muslims here in New Zealand? Either the architecture, either the culture, or the food, anything. And this oral history project will give today's generation an idea on how it all started.
Right.
We have our first masjid in Ponsonby in Auckland in 1972, and there were only 500 Muslims involved in that project at that time. So now we have 65,000 Muslims in New Zealand. So those 63,000 must know where they are from, and what that our previous generation has done to achieve many accomplishments that we can see today. So yeah, to strengthen our identity, you have to know your history.
Alhamdulillah. And I think it's a really valuable thing to do, because a lot of people don't know. They, I guess, really do assume that Islam hasn't been in New Zealand for long, and not just for our own community, but for non-Muslims as well. So a lot of people, they have this perception of Islam, no history here, this and that. But I remember in the discussions leading up to some of these projects, we were finding out, like, I believe, was it even in the 1700s, there were a couple of Muslims aboard one of those first French ships that came through here, or during the gold rush, the Chinese miners, when they came, there were a number of Muslims who came along. At least one family of which I believe is still in New Zealand. And so, there are these actually really deep roots there. And it doesn't just help our community, but it helps other people to realize, hey, Muslims have been here for a while, and a large number of them, through certain economic areas, certain social areas, have actually made a really big contribution to, New Zealand. Like, we talk about in every field, people know of Sunny Bill, people know of Ajaz Patel. Like, there are Muslims everywhere in New Zealand achieving a lot. And so if we can, is the idea, I guess, if we compile that all together, that awareness can only help. And so I guess another area, which I guess has been, it can sometimes be a controversial one, but which I think, is important, and I know it's something which FIANZ has been making a priority in recent years, is, the idea of youth participation. And so, this community development, social cohesion is a really important focus. Where do you think the role is for youth within these kinds of goals?
Rasulullah SAW always believes that youth is the key to the future. And I also believe that future is now. If you want to change future, you change now. You change the present. And the involvement of the youth, or the empowerment of the youth, is to make sure that today's world is going to be a good foundation for better tomorrow. So what I'm saying is, let's not talk about future, let's talk about present. Because you cannot predict the future. You have to plan the future by doing what you are doing now in the present. So by involving the youth to our to many fora and activities, that also reflects our commitment to make today's world more accommodative, more comfortable. Like probably that's not the word, but it's more accommodative to the young people. They would need a different playground than older generation. They need different challenge. They need different questions that they need to answer. Like you said, the first decades of our existence, Muslim existence here in New Zealand, is to build network where we connect people. We know people from Wamaru. We know people to know each other, that we are Muslim here in New Zealand. And then after we build network, we build buildings. It's just like what you said. We build buildings because after the network is done, then people need places to get together and to do their worship or prayer. And now it's time for us to prepare for the next stage of our building, is to build people. Now, building people is, again, need more resources, and also need a better plan, because if we build wrong generation today, it will affect the future. So let's build the present. And by building our youth to be able to answer the challenges that they see every day here in New Zealand, we will ensure a better future for everybody.
Alhamdulillah. Is there anything else you want to add about, I guess, any of the topics we've discussed today, or anything else?
So I would like to see NIA gain more popularity among the young people.
Inshallah.
And because as the old adage said that a birds of a feather flock together. If I ask every young people to join NIA or FIANZ, they won't listen to me. But if you say this to your people, that we need young people to be involved in organizations like NIA, or to your local masjid, or to your local the Islamic trust near you, just to ensure that you have that experience of volunteerism within the da'wah area, within the more Islamic education environment. That way, I'm sure that if NIA can have more people joining in and contributing their expertise, like I said, let's not talk about future, let's talk about the better present. Inshallah, we won't have to be worried about the bad things that surrounds us every day, the evil things that surround our youth every day, and they have the power and knowledge to repel that temptation,
Inshallah.
that evil. Inshallah.
Jazakallah khair for those words. And I just want to, I guess, finish on that reminder that, you know, there is NIA, there's FIANZ, there's local associations, there are so many trusts, there's so many ways to get involved in the community, and it doesn't need, you know, we don't need to all be, you know, trying to become president of this association or so and so. Any little actions we do of good, you know, will be tallied up on Yawm al-Qiyamah. You know, any little good will be there, and so, you know, it will be seen. And so if we can, you know, continue with that spirit, there is so much that we can do as an ummah, inshallah. So, you know, I'd like to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Jazakallah khair. And, you know, nothing but the best of luck for all of, you know, FIANZ's work in this space.
Thank you.
Inshallah, it'll be successful. Jazakallah khair.